Patricia Lawson had been a Superior Court judge in King County, Washington for 14 years when a stranger's accusation in a Target store would expose a pattern that had been ignored for far too long. She was 52 years old, experienced enough to recognize bias when she saw it, dignified enough to maintain composure under accusation. One Saturday afternoon at 2:45 p.m. in the Northgate Target, she was shopping for household items when a white woman named Melissa Hoffman decided that a black woman with a shopping cart full of merchandise must be shoplifting. What Hoffman did next, confronting Lawson publicly, ignoring her calm explanations, and demanding police involvement despite zero evidence, would trigger a civil lawsuit that would cost her $68,000 in personal liability, cost Target $6.1 million in damages, and become proof of how retail racial profiling operates in plain sight. A black woman in her early 50s, Judge Patricia Lawson, was pushing a shopping cart through the cosmetics aisle of Target on a quiet Saturday afternoon. Her wallet was in her purse, her shopping list was on her phone, her cart held shampoo, paper towels, and makeup she hadn't yet paid for. No crime, no concealment, no suspicious behavior, just a judge doing weekend errands at a store she'd shopped at for years. But Melissa Hoffman saw her through a filter so distorted by assumptions about who steals and who doesn't, that she couldn't process a black woman with a full cart as a legitimate paying customer. Before we continue, where are you watching from? If this is your first time here, please hit that subscribe button. Stories like these need to be shared, and your support helps us bring more truth to light. The Target on Northgate Way sits just off Interstate 5 in North Seattle, a two-story retail anchor in a busy shopping complex. It's the kind of suburban big-box store that sees steady weekend traffic, families restocking groceries, students grabbing dorm supplies, professionals running errands between obligations. Wide aisles, fluorescent lighting, red shopping carts lined up near the entrance, and the familiar bullseye logo visible from the highway. It was 2:45 p.m. on a Saturday in October. Sunlight streamed through the large front windows. The weekend shopping crowd filled the store but wasn't overwhelming. The cosmetics section near the center of the main floor had a handful of customers browsing foundations and lipsticks. Music played quietly over the speakers. The kind of ordinary Saturday afternoon where nothing dramatic typically happens. Judge Patricia Lawson had been on the King County Superior Court bench for 14 years. 14 years of presiding over criminal trials, civil disputes, family law cases, and sentencing hearings. She'd overseen more than 800 trials, written hundreds of judicial opinions, and earned a reputation among attorneys as fair, thorough, and uncompromising on the law. She'd handled high-profile murder cases, complex civil litigation, and sensitive family law matters involving child custody and domestic violence. Her rulings were rarely overturned on appeal. Her courtroom was known for efficiency and fairness in equal measure. Her colleagues called her brilliant. The lawyers who appeared in her courtroom called her demanding but just. Lawson had graduated summa cum laude from Howard University with a degree in political science, then Yale Law School, where she'd served on the Yale Law Journal and clerked for a Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals judge. She'd spent 8 years in the King County Prosecutor's Office handling major felonies, homicides, sexual assaults, organized crime cases, and maintaining a conviction rate that made her one of the office's most respected trial attorneys. She'd prosecuted gang leaders, white-collar criminals, and violent offenders. She'd never lost a murder trial. Her appointment to the bench in 2011 had been unanimous, supported by prosecutors and defense attorneys alike. She'd received the Washington State Bar Association's Professionalism Award, the King County Minority Bar Association's Excellence in Judicial Service Award, recognition from 3 legal advocacy organizations for her work on criminal justice reform, and the Seattle Times had named her one of the region's most influential legal minds. She'd lectured at the University of Washington School of Law, mentored young attorneys of color, and written op-eds on sentencing reform that had influenced state legislation. At 52 years old, Patricia Lawson was exactly where she'd worked 3 decades to be. She'd raised 2 children as a single mother while building her legal career, sacrificing personal time and sleep to earn every credential she held. She gardened on Sunday mornings, read historical biographies before bed, and volunteered at a legal aid clinic twice a month. That Saturday, Lawson had left the courthouse after finishing paperwork from Friday's trial. She'd driven to the Northgate Target around 2:30 p.m., parked near the main entrance, grabbed a red shopping cart. She wore jeans, a gray sweater, and comfortable shoes. Her judicial ID was in her wallet in her purse. She wasn't carrying her robe or gavel or anything that screamed judge. She looked like what she was, a professional woman running weekend errands. She'd picked up laundry detergent, paper towels, dish soap, shampoo. Then she'd headed to the cosmetics aisle. She needed foundation and lipstick, specific brands she'd used for years. She picked up a Revlon foundation compact, checked the shade against her wrist, dropped it in the cart. She picked up 2 lipsticks, compared the colors, chose one, returned the other to the shelf. Standard shopping behavior, nothing concealed, nothing hidden, everything visible in her cart. But to one person watching from 3 aisles away, Patricia Lawson's presence in the cosmetics section was suspicious, and that person had decided to intervene. Melissa Hoffman was 38 years old, a marketing manager for a mid-sized tech firm, and a regular customer at the Northgate Target. She'd lived in North Seattle for 6 years, shopped at this location weekly, and considered herself a concerned citizen who paid attention to her surroundings. What she didn't consider was the pattern she'd developed over those 6 years. Target's incident reports told a story Hoffman apparently couldn't see herself. Between 2019 and 2025, she'd reported 8 separate incidents of suspected shoplifting to store security or management. 8 times in 6 years. 8 times she'd approached a manager or security guard, pointed at a customer, and insisted they were stealing. 8 detailed reports filed with security. 8 investigations triggered by her complaints. 7 of those 8 customers were Black or Latino. 7 of those 8 incidents involved customers who were doing absolutely nothing wrong. The incidents followed a pattern so clear it should have triggered intervention years earlier. March 2019, a Black teenager browsing electronics. The kid was wearing a backpack, looking at headphones. Hoffman told security she'd watched him slip an iPhone charging cable into his backpack. Security approached him, asked to check the backpack. The teenager, humiliated in front of other customers, opened it. Inside, his school laptop, textbooks, his own phone. No cable, nothing stolen. Security reviewed footage. The kid had picked up the cable, examined it, put it back on the shelf. What Hoffman had seen as theft was a teenager shopping normally. June 2020, a Latino man in the grocery section. Hoffman approached a manager, insisted she'd watched him eating food without paying, grazing through the aisles. The manager found the man, asked about it. The man showed his receipt. He'd paid for a bag of chips at the self-checkout, then opened them while continuing to shop. Perfectly legal, standard behavior. The receipt was time-stamped 14 minutes earlier. Hoffman had watched him eat chips he'd already purchased and decided it was theft. October 2021. A Black woman in the clothing section. Hoffman reported to security that she'd watched the woman stuffing shirts into a large tote bag, clearly shoplifting. Security approached. The woman showed them her reusable Target shopping bag, which she'd brought from home for environmental reasons. Inside, one shirt she'd selected and intended to purchase. Security reviewed footage. The woman had been folding the shirt neatly to avoid wrinkles. Hoffman had interpreted careful shopping as concealment. April 2022, a Black man in home goods. Hoffman claimed she'd watched him transfer price tags from cheaper items to expensive picture frames. A serious accusation. Theft and fraud. Security investigated immediately. They reviewed footage. The man had picked up frames, compared prices, put some back, selected others. Never touched a price tag. Never switched anything. Hoffman had invented the entire scenario. November 2022, a Latina teenager in cosmetics. Hoffman told a manager the girl was concealing makeup in her purse, watching her do it from 2 aisles away. The manager found the teenager, asked to see her purse. The girl, close to tears, emptied it on the counter. Wallet, phone, keys, lip balm she'd brought from home, a tampon. No stolen makeup. Security reviewed footage. The girl had taken her lip balm out of her purse to apply it while shopping. That's what Hoffman had seen. February 2024. An Asian woman in the pharmacy section. Hoffman reported her to security, claiming she looked nervous and suspicious near the pharmacy counter. Security watched her for 10 minutes. She selected vitamins, cough medicine, and Band-Aids. She went to checkout. She paid for everything. Nothing stolen. When security asked Hoffman what specific behavior made the woman suspicious, Hoffman said she just had a feeling. No evidence. Just intuition. July 2024. A Black man shopping with his young daughter, maybe 5 years old. The little girl was sitting in the cart, excited, pointing at toys. Hoffman watched them from sporting goods, then reported to security that the man was putting toys in his jacket. Security approached carefully, not wanting to traumatize the child. They asked the man about it. He showed them his cart, 2 stuffed animals, a coloring book, crayons. His jacket was light windbreaker material, nothing in the pockets. Security reviewed footage. The man had held toys for his daughter to see, let her choose which ones she wanted, then placed them in the cart. Standard parent behavior. Hoffman had watched a father shop with his child and seen a crime. 8 incidents, 7 people of color, 0 thefts, 0 evidence, 0 apologies from Hoffman. Target Security had flagged Hoffman internally. They'd asked managers to watch for her reports, verify before approaching customers, document every claim. But they'd never banned her, never told her directly to stop, never addressed the pattern. They'd treated each incident in isolation, apologized to the accused customers, and moved on. Until October 2025, when Melissa Hoffman spotted Judge Patricia Lawson in the cosmetics aisle and decided she'd caught another shoplifter. Lawson was comparing 2 shades of Maybelline lipstick when she noticed a white woman staring at her from the end of the aisle. The woman didn't look away when Lawson made eye contact. She just kept watching, her expression a mix of suspicion and certainty. Lawson returned her attention to the lipstick, chose one, dropped it in her cart. She moved down the aisle toward the face powder. The woman followed. Lawson picked up a compact, opened it, checked the shade against her wrist. Too light. She returned it to the shelf, picked up a darker shade. The woman was now standing 10 feet away, openly staring. Lawson dropped the compact in her cart and turned to face her. "Can I help you with something?" Hoffman stepped closer. "I saw what you did. I'm shopping. You put makeup in your purse." Lawson kept her voice calm, professional. "No, I didn't. Everything I'm purchasing is in this cart. I saw you. You need to put it back." This is where assumptions become accusations. Lawson reached into her purse, pulled out her phone to check her shopping list. Hoffman's eyes followed the movement, her certainty deepening. "See? You just put something else in there. This is my phone." "Sure it is." Another customer, a young Asian woman named Lisa Chen, was shopping nearby. She'd watched the entire exchange. She pulled out her phone and started recording. Lawson took a slow breath. "Ma'am, I don't know what you think you saw, but I haven't taken anything. Everything I'm buying is visible in my cart." Hoffman crossed her arms. "Empty your purse." "Absolutely not." "Then you're hiding something." "I'm not hiding anything. I'm shopping. You're harassing me." Hoffman pulled out her phone. "I'm calling security." "Go ahead." Hoffman dialed, keeping her eyes on Lawson. "Yes, security?" "There's a woman in cosmetics stealing makeup. She's putting items in her purse. She refuses to show me what she took." Lawson stood perfectly still, her jaw tight, her hands on her shopping cart. This is where bias becomes impenetrable. Lisa Chen stepped closer, still recording. "She didn't take anything. I've been here the whole time. Everything she picked up went in the cart." Hoffman ignored her. "She's here now. Black woman, gray sweater by the Maybelline display." Lawson's voice remained steady. "My name is Patricia Lawson. I'm a Superior Court judge. I've been shopping here for years. I haven't stolen anything." Hoffman barely glanced at her. "Security is on the way." Within 2 minutes, a Target security guard named Marcus Webb arrived. Webb had worked retail security for 9 years and recognized Melissa Hoffman immediately. He'd dealt with her false reports before. "What's the situation?" Hoffman pointed at Lawson. "This woman has been stealing makeup. She's been putting items in her purse. I watched her do it multiple times." Webb looked at Lawson. "Ma'am, did you put merchandise in your purse?" Lawson kept her voice calm. "No, I did not. Everything I intend to purchase is in this shopping cart. I put my phone in my purse while shopping, which this woman apparently interpreted as theft." Webb looked at Lisa Chen, who was still recording. "Did you see what happened?" Chen nodded. "I've been standing right here for the last 5 minutes. She picked up makeup, checked the shades, put them in her cart. The only thing she put in her purse was her phone. Nothing else." Hoffman's voice rose. "She's lying. I know what I saw." Webb kept his tone professional. "Ma'am, can I see what's in your cart?" Lawson gestured to the cart. "Shampoo, paper towels, dish soap, laundry detergent, foundation compact, 1 lipstick, all unpaid for, all intended for purchase at checkout." Webb examined the cart, then looked back at Hoffman. "Ma'am, this customer hasn't concealed anything. Everything is visible, because she knew she was caught." Webb pulled out his radio. "Can I get a manager to cosmetics, please?" Lawson's patience was wearing thin, but she maintained her composure. She'd spent 14 years on the bench listening to accusations. She knew how to stay calm under pressure. I'm Judge Patricia Lawson. I sit on the King County Superior Court bench. I can show you identification. I can give you my judicial ID number. I have no reason to steal makeup from Target. Hoffman scoffed. Anyone can claim to be a judge. The store manager, David Park, arrived within a minute. Park had been with Target for 12 years, 8 of them at this location. He also recognized Melissa Hoffman. What's going on? Webb briefed him quickly. Park listened, then turned to Hoffman. Ms. Hoffman, did you personally see this customer conceal merchandise? I saw her put things in her purse. Park looked at Chen. Did you see her conceal merchandise? No. She put her phone in her purse. That's all. Park turned to Lawson. Ma'am, I apologize for this disruption. Can I see some identification? Lawson pulled out her wallet, removed her driver's license and her judicial ID card. Park examined both carefully. His expression shifted from professional courtesy to something closer to horror. Judge Lawson, I'm deeply sorry. This is completely unacceptable. Hoffman stepped forward. She could have stolen those IDs. Park's voice hardened. Ms. Hoffman, Judge Lawson is a well-known member of this community. I'm going to have to ask you to leave the store. What? I'm trying to help. You've made a false accusation against a paying customer. We have surveillance footage of the entire incident. You need to leave now. This is ridiculous. She was stealing. Park kept his voice firm. If you don't leave voluntarily, I'll call the police for harassment. Hoffman looked around, realizing the other customers were watching. Lisa Chen was still recording. A small crowd had gathered. Fine. She grabbed her purse and walked toward the exit, her face flushed red. After Hoffman left, David Park turned back to Judge Lawson. Your Honor, I cannot apologize enough. This should never have happened. We have a record of this customer making repeated false reports. We should have banned her months ago. Lawson's voice was quiet but firm. You've allowed her to harass customers for years? Park's face showed genuine regret. We've documented her complaints, verified they were unfounded, apologized to the customers she targeted, but we didn't take the step of banning her from the store. That's on us. That's a failure of our policies. How many times? Park hesitated. 7 prior incidents that we documented, all people of color, all false. And you let her keep coming back. We did, and that's inexcusable. Lisa Chen stepped forward, still holding her phone. I have the whole thing on video if you need it. Lawson looked at her. Thank you. Can you send that to me? Chen nodded and they exchanged contact information. Webb, the security guard, spoke up. Judge Lawson, I reviewed our security footage while the manager was talking to you. It confirms everything you said. You picked up items, checked them, placed them in your cart. You put your phone in your purse. That's it. Nothing else. Lawson took a long breath. I'd like that footage preserved, please. Park nodded immediately. Absolutely. I'll make sure it's flagged and saved, and I'll prepare a full incident report. Lawson looked at her shopping cart, at the items she'd intended to purchase. I think I'm done shopping for today. Park's voice softened. Of course. Please let me personally escort you to checkout. Everything you have is on us today. No charge. Lawson shook her head. I don't want free merchandise. I want accountability. You'll have it. I promise you. Lawson pushed her cart toward the registers. Park walked beside her. She paid for her items, $67.43, with her credit card. Park bagged everything personally. As she left the store, Lawson knew exactly what she was going to do next. Within 24 hours, the video Lisa Chen recorded had been viewed 4.2 million times across Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Multiple news outlets picked it up. The headlines wrote themselves. Black judge accused of shoplifting at Target after putting phone in purse. Superior Court judge confronted by white woman in Target cosmetics aisle. I know what I saw. Karen accuses judge of theft despite zero evidence. Seattle judge racially profiled in Target. Settlement could reach millions. The outrage was immediate and widespread. Civil rights organizations issued statements within hours. The NAACP Legal Defense Fund called it textbook racial profiling. The ACLU of Washington demanded a full investigation into Target's policies. The King County Bar Association condemned the incident in a formal statement. Legal advocacy groups called for action. The National Bar Association, representing black attorneys nationwide, issued a statement. If a sitting judge can be accused of theft for putting her phone in her purse, every black person in America is at risk. Within 36 hours, #Judge Lawson was trending nationwide. Legal commentators discussed it on cable news. Attorneys who'd appeared in her courtroom shared stories of her fairness and integrity. Former colleagues from the prosecutor's office defended her publicly. Law students at Yale organized a solidarity event. Target's corporate office released a statement within 48 hours. We are horrified by the incident involving Judge Patricia Lawson at our Northgate location. This is unacceptable racial profiling that violates everything Target stands for. We have permanently banned the individual who made the false accusation and are reviewing our policies on customer complaints and security response. We apologize to Judge Lawson and are committed to ensuring this never happens again. But apologies don't pay damages. Apologies don't change systems. Apologies don't undo public humiliation. Melissa Hoffman issued no public statement. She deleted her social media accounts within 72 hours as people identified her and began posting her employment information. Her employer, a Seattle tech firm called Cascade Digital, received hundreds of calls demanding her termination. The company announced 2 weeks later that she was no longer with the company. The termination notice was brief but clear. Conduct inconsistent with our company values. But the real legal action came 6 weeks after the incident when Judge Lawson, represented by one of Seattle's top civil rights attorneys, filed a lawsuit in King County Superior Court. The complaint was 47 pages long and methodically devastating. The defendants, Melissa Hoffman, individually, for harassment, defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and violation of Washington's public accommodation laws. Target Corporation for negligent supervision, failure to protect customers from known threats, enabling racial profiling, and violating state anti-discrimination statutes. The complaint was devastating in its specificity. It detailed Hoffman's 8 prior false accusations with dates, times, and outcomes. It included Target's internal documentation showing they'd flagged her as a problem customer in June 2021 after the 4th complaint but never banned her. It attached the security footage showing Lawson's normal shopping behavior. It included Lisa Chen's video of the confrontation, with timestamp analysis showing Lawson never concealed anything. It quoted Target employees who'd expressed concerns about Hoffman's pattern to management. It cited Target's own training materials on preventing racial profiling, showing the company knew the risks but failed to act. The damages sought were calculated and justified: $2,000 in compensatory damages for emotional distress, lost time, and reputational harm. $3,000 for the violation of civil rights, $6 million in punitive damages to send a message about institutional negligence. Total demand, $6.5 million. Target's legal team reviewed the evidence and reached an immediate conclusion: indefensible. The documentation was extensive, the pattern was clear, the video was damning. They had knowingly allowed a serial false accuser to continue harassing customers for 4 years after flagging her internally. Their own policies said customers should be banned after 3 verified false complaints. They'd documented 8 and done nothing. Melissa Hoffman's attorney reviewed the same evidence and advised her to settle quickly. She had no defense, no credible claim. 8 prior false accusations, all documented, all targeting people of color. The defamation claim alone was airtight. Lawson hadn't stolen anything. Hoffman had publicly accused her anyway. That's defamation per se. The settlement came 11 months later in September 2026. The terms were hammered out over months of negotiation. Target's attorneys wanted confidentiality clauses. Lawson's attorney insisted on public disclosure. The judge mediating the settlement sided with Lawson. The public had a right to know. Final settlement: Target Corporation paid $6.1 million. Melissa Hoffman paid $68,000. The maximum her homeowner's insurance would cover, plus an additional $18,000 from her personal assets, liquidating her retirement accounts and selling her car. The combined total, $6.78 million. The settlement agreement included non-financial terms. Target agreed to implement new policies: 3-strike rule for false shoplifting accusations, automatic bans after verified pattern of racial profiling, mandatory anti-bias training for all security and management staff, quarterly audits of shoplifting accusations broken down by race, public transparency reports on customer complaints and security interventions. Melissa Hoffman was banned for life from every Target location nationwide. Her name was entered into a retail industry database tracking problem customers. The settlement became public record. Judge Lawson made a statement to the press. This lawsuit was never about the money. It was about holding institutions accountable when they knowingly enable racial profiling. Target knew Melissa Hoffman had a pattern. They documented it, and they did nothing. That's institutional negligence. The settlement ensures they'll take these patterns seriously going forward. Judge Patricia Lawson testified at a King County Council hearing on retail racial profiling 2 months after the settlement. Her testimony was measured, powerful, and damning. She stood at the podium in her judicial robes, addressing the council in a packed hearing room. I'm a Superior Court judge with 14 years on the bench. Before that, I was a prosecutor for 8 years. I have a law degree from Yale. I've presided over more than 800 trials. I've earned every credential I hold through decades of work. She paused. On October 12th, I was shopping in Target. I was buying shampoo and makeup. I was pushing a shopping cart. I put my phone in my purse. And a white woman decided I was stealing. Another pause. It wasn't about the makeup. It was about the fact that she couldn't imagine a black woman in that store as anything other than a criminal. My credentials didn't matter. My calm explanations didn't matter. The witness who told security I hadn't stolen anything didn't matter. I was black in a cosmetics aisle, and that was enough. Her voice strengthened. Target knew this woman had done this before. 7 times before. 7 times she'd accused people of color of theft. 7 times she was wrong. And Target did nothing. They documented it. They flagged it internally. They apologized to the victims, but they let her come back. They let her keep hunting for people to accuse. She looked directly at the council members. 8 complaints in 6 years. That's not bad luck. That's a pattern. A pattern Target chose to ignore until she targeted someone with the resources and platform to fight back. Her voice dropped to something colder. The settlement was $6.78 million. That's significant. That's accountability in a dollar amount. But money doesn't undo the humiliation of being accused of theft in public. It doesn't erase the moment when security arrives because someone decided your skin color makes you suspicious. It doesn't restore the 15 minutes of my life when I had to prove I wasn't a criminal for buying lipstick. She paused again, letting the silence build. If this can happen to me, with my title and my credentials and my education, what happens to the black teenager shopping for school supplies? What happens to the Latino man buying groceries? What happens to people who don't have judicial immunity or law degrees or the money to hire civil rights attorneys? The room was completely silent. Should businesses face automatic civil rights audits after verified patterns of racially motivated complaints? Drop your answer below. This wasn't just about one woman's bias or one afternoon in Target. This was about a system that validated assumptions until someone powerful enough fought back. Melissa Hoffman's record told a story Target chose to ignore. 8 complaints over 6 years. 7 people of color accused. 0 thefts confirmed. The pattern was obvious. The documentation existed. But Target treated each incident separately, apologized individually, and never connected the dots. Why? Because connecting the dots meant taking action. It meant banning a customer. It meant admitting they'd enabled racial profiling. It meant acknowledging a problem they preferred to handle quietly, one apology at a time. Melissa Hoffman's life changed. She lost her job. She paid $68,000. Her name is permanently linked to racial profiling. That's consequence. Target paid $6.1 million. They implemented new policies. They banned her from every location. That's accountability. But money and policies don't undo trauma. They don't restore dignity. They don't erase the message that even a judge in jeans buying shampoo can be seen as a criminal because of her skin color. The real question is, what changes now? Do retailers finally remove customers after 3 verified false accusations instead of 8? Do stores finally train staff that suspicion requires evidence, not skin color? Do we finally acknowledge that looking suspicious often just means being black in public? Because if we don't fix the systems that let Hoffman harass customers for 6 years, if we don't address the culture that taught her to see black shoppers as thieves, then we're just waiting for the next Melissa Hoffman, the next Target, the next judge who has to prove she's not a criminal for buying makeup. Comment if you believe this should be law. Retail businesses that receive 3 verified complaints of racially motivated false accusations must conduct immediate civil rights audits and implement corrective action or face federal penalties. And if you think these stories need to be told, if you believe accountability starts with awareness and change starts with pressure, then hit that subscribe button. We're not stopping. We're going to keep exposing these patterns. We're going to keep demanding that retailers take bias seriously before the 8th complaint. We're going to keep fighting for the judges, the teenagers, the everyday people who deserve to shop without being criminalized. This isn't just about one Karen or one judge. It's about all of us and the world we choose to accept.